This week, a big moment for President Obama's health care plan. On Tuesday, the Senate Finance Committee is expected to vote on the bill. There are reports that the plan's numbers might even add up and not create as much of a deficit as originally expected. Some Democrats, though, are still angling to include a public option or government-run health insurance program. So could the whole process derail potentially over that? Joining us now, Mo Elleithee, former Hillary Clinton campaign spokesman, and Alex Conant, a former White House and Republican National Committee spokesperson. Welcome to both of you. Mo, does this thing have some new wind in its sails as a result of the Congressional Budget Office numbers?
Yeah, I think it does. I think you're seeing some increased momentum behind the health care reform. I think the CBO numbers helped a lot of people allay their concerns about the cost. It showed that not only would this not be a budget buster, but it would actually reduce the deficit by a significant amount over the next decade, and I think that's helpful. You're seeing more and more Republican leaders come out in favor of it. Tommy Thompson from the Bush administration, former Senator Bill Frist, Governor Schwarzenegger in California have all said that they would support health care reform. So I do sense some new momentum on the Hill.
But it is worth pointing out, Alex, that a lot of the tax increases and Medicare cuts that pay for this thing would kick in immediately, whereas some of the outflow of money don't kick in until 2013 after the next presidential election. So there is a little bit of smoke and mirrors going on as to the expense of this program.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in fact, this bill is a lot like the car chase we were just watching. It may be cruising along right now, but I think we all know how this is going to end, and it's not going to be pretty for the bill because the numbers really don't add up in the long run. This is not legislation that. No, it's not going to pass in its current form, and everybody knows it's not going to pass in its current form. Harry Reid is going to, the Senate Majority Leader, and Nancy Pelosi are going to rewrite the entire bill in conference committee if it passes the Senate. It's got a long way to go, and the current bill is not what is going to end up passing. Because that's not what the left wants. They want a public option. They want more government interference in health care. The public doesn't want that. The Senate Finance Committee has rejected that twice already, but that's where we're headed.
Well, what about it? I mean, Chuck Schumer, Mo, has suggested that he really wants some kind of a public option, and that's going to increase the cost of this thing, right?
Well, look, I think that's still obviously going to be a detail that they've got to work out, and I think there is still some differing opinions on whether or not there's going to be a public option. I don't think anyone really knows what the final bill is going to look like yet, but I do think you're seeing more and more people get satisfied with the bill as it's progressing through the process. I think the CBO numbers were a huge boost to the bill at the end of the day, and as more and more Republican leadership out there, maybe not in the Senate, but around the country starts to chime in, I think that's going to help move things along.
But Alex, I mean, Nancy Pelosi has said that there's no way that she would pass a bill out of the House that doesn't have some kind of government-run health insurance in it.
Exactly. There's still a lot of disagreements within the Democratic Party. A Democratic Senator, Bill Nelson, said earlier this week that he doesn't believe the CBO numbers. He doesn't like the bill as it's written, and it's only going to get worse from here on out. I think that's the problem. They're having trouble getting Republicans and even all the Democrats to support this legislation, and it's just going to get worse once Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid get their hands on it after the Senate Finance Committee votes.
The Democrats are united behind the idea of reform. There's no question about that. And the Republican leadership in the Senate does seem to be united against it.
Republicans and Democrats alike want reform. We could pass bipartisan reform very easily, things like medical liability reform and portability, common sense reforms, but instead the Democrats are not reaching out to the Republicans, and they're trying to pass something through without any bipartisan support. It's really unfortunate.
All right, we're going to have to leave the discussion there. Alex Conant, Mo Elleithee, thank you both.
And it's still going on.